Okay, gentlemen. Would you mind doing the standard thing, briefly outline what the film is
question.
about and how your two characters fit in, please?
Nick.
Well, the film is about Simon's character, Gary King, who kind of implemented a very famous pub crawl when, him and his gang of friends were, I think, probably 19 years old. And they never finished it. They got halfway there, they lost some people, and they never finished it. And I think, essentially, that is something that has eaten Simon's character away for the rest of his life. It was essentially that point when he was the most happy in his life. And now we kind of fast forward 20 years to see Simon's character figure out that he needs to get the gang back together again to try and complete this famous pub crawl. But obviously 20 years have passed and he finds it fairly difficult to kind of get the gang back together as they now all have wives and they have good jobs. And in the interim, something very terrible has happened between our characters. So it's kind of touch and go whether or not I'm even going to get there, to be honest.
Thank you. Simon, you obviously wrote the script with Edgar.
Yes.
Could you highlight some of your inspirations for it? What inspired the idea?
Well, we had this idea about going back to your hometown and experiencing this very odd sensation of simultaneous familiarity and alienation. You go home and it looks exactly the same as it always did, but it feels different. And the reason is it's because you have changed. That's usually the reason, is because you have changed. It's not the place. But we thought, wouldn't it be funny if you go back experiencing that? But the place really has changed. Not only has it changed, it's changed because it's been invaded by alien robots. That was the kind of the joke for us, that we'd take that idea to its ridiculous conclusion. And so when the guys go back to their hometown, they experience this odd sense of ennui when they get there, and it turns out to have a real galactic reason behind it. And our inspirations came very much from social science fiction, the kind of British authors like John Wyndham and John Christopher, and the broader writers like, Aldous Huxley, Asimov, Ballard. It's less about films. It does have films in its DNA, probably the Body Snatchers movies, The Thing, that kind of thing, which were slightly less intentional for us. Those are films we love, and they probably came out because that's what we have enjoyed through our careers. But this isn't a film like Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead, in that it doesn't make constant reference to other films. It's a little less referential, I think.
Speaking of being referential, though, can you outline how this film ties in terms of referential jokes, cast, and importantly theme with your other Cornetto films, Shaun and Hot Fuzz?
Yeah, we kind of, about halfway through these 10 years of making films, when we got to make Hot Fuzz and we realised we might be able to make a third one, we kind of thought, wouldn't it be great to make a thematic trilogy and have 3 films with different storylines, different characters, be linked by sort of certain tonal and thematic ideas, those being the struggle of the individual against the collective, the idea of men having to grow up, the idea of friendship, and also less important but nevertheless more sort of obvious things like the Cornetto ice cream, which appears in everyone, and a disastrous leap over a fence. We kind of like the idea of a joke working across 3 disparate films in the case of the fence gag. And the Cornetto thing was an accident. We got free ice cream at our Shaun premiere, and we thought we'd try and get free ice cream at the Hot Fuzz premiere, so we mentioned it again, but we didn't get it. And then when we were being interviewed about Hot Fuzz, they said, is this the thing now? You're going to have a Cornetto in every film? And we said, yeah. And so we did for this one as well.
We should invoice Cornetto.
We should audit them.
This is the last question in this part. Edgar wrote a script called Crawl many years ago.
Yeah.
Does this bear much resemblance at all to that original screenplay?
I think in as much as it's about teenagers on a pub crawl, yeah, but I think where you jumped off was why don't we turn that script into the first 10 minutes of the film and then pick up from that point.
I think it's about, the prologue is like 2 minutes or something, so it's kind of what would happen 20 years after that script. He was always, I mean, you and Nick Frost.
Yeah,
I love
Frost.
that guy. Where is he?
Where is that guy? Don't look for him.
He's not there anymore. You guys went off on a little
we went down to Wells for a week. The 2 of us, we went down to kind of try and develop that and write it, and we didn't do any work at all. We hired a high-powered Mercedes and just drove around North Somerset listening to the John Spencer Blues Explosion for a week. And that is all we did.
The World's End.